up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. Dang, I know it's been forever since I made a YouTube video. But y'all know life be life or whatever. So I'm bringing out something different. I am going to be doing a book review. As you can see in the title, it's going to be on Silent Patient. I just finished this book yesterday and I got some things to say. I got some thoughts because all the book reviews, they've been lying to me. I don't appreciate that. Why everybody keep overhyping books and they be trash? So I had to read it for myself to see. Now this book had been overhyped for a minute. And I'm like, dang, I want to get it. Finally got it and we gonna discuss it. So, how y'all been though? How y'all been doing? Tell me in the comments below how y'all been doing. Okay, so let's dive right on into the book. So the story is about a girl named Alicia. One day she decided to shoot her husband 5 times in the face. And she decided to go silent. Like once she got caught, she didn't speak a word for 6 years. After that, she was admitted to like a mental facility, and a psychotherapist named Theo came there to try to, number one, understand why she decided to go silent, and number two, also to get her to talk. They wanted her to talk so bad. They're like, we know that you can talk, so how about you talk? So this story is being told from 2 perspectives. Since Alicia is silent, it's being told from her diary, and it's being told from Theo's perspective, like he's talking. So before I even go into the story or go into the details, one thing I two things that I wanted to point out, or a couple things I wanted to point out. Alicia was a painter, like she was like an artist. She also had like I said, a history with mental illness. Her husband that she killed, his name was Gabriel. He was a photographer. He was like a well-renowned, like this famous photographer that shot everybody or whatever. He was fancy. And then Theo was also, like I told you, a psychotherapist turned detective. My man thought he was Sherlock Holmes. I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, this is, you know, it's going to be part of my pros and cons, but I really didn't understand the character for Theo. Psychotherapist turned detective, because he took his job a little bit too serious. And that's the problem these days. People don't know how to just stick to their job title. Stick to your job title, and then you won't have to worry about stepping on nobody's toes. Nonetheless, so that's just a little synopsis of who's in the book and who's like the main characters. So I do have a couple pros and cons. Two pros, 2 cons. My first pro is that I love how the book was written. I love how the twist at the end tied into like the plot and kind of like merged the timelines from her diary to Theo's like narration, because he's like narrator. It kind of like merged it all together, which I think it worked out perfectly fine. I know in some reviews people was like, I ain't like that. And some people was like, oh my God, I didn't even expect it. I'm trying to figure out why people say when they didn't expect it. It was obvious. That's just me. But anywho, so that was one of my pros. Another pro I had was I guess I in general like the plot twist. Maybe that's only one pro. Nonetheless, the first con that I got, because I'm talking about these cons first, because forget them pros. The con that I have is that I didn't like how Theo, Mr. Investigator or Mr. Detective / psychotherapist, decided he wanted to go out looking for all these people that maybe knew why Alicia went silent. Every person that he encountered that was personal and dear to Alicia, it was like, it was kind of like a dead end. Like, it didn't have shit to do with the story. And I'm just like, it has something to do with it, but at some point you won't, toward the end or toward the middle, you'd be like, why did we get introduced to this character? And why was this character like this if we wasn't going to be elaborating on this character toward the end? It was just unnecessary to me. I just feel like a lot of the people that the author incorporated into the book, I just feel like was unnecessary. I'm not even gonna tell a lie. Like, we could have did more on Alicia's background than incorporating her cousin Paul. Paul was not even I guess he was a vital part, but like so many other people. Anywho, So I got my notes here because listen, I'm trying to remember. It took me, it was, listen, I've never read a book so fast. This book was a good read. Don't get me wrong. That's why I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was a good read. However, anywho, so also to touch base on Theo, or just to dive a little bit more into Theo, because he is the narrator. What I didn't like about him is that in the beginning of the story, he's like, but this is not my story to tell. Then proceeds to tell the whole damn story. My guy. Can we get more of Alicia's diary, or can the diary be more, included? I feel like Alicia, it was maybe like a 30-70 of who was the perspective. So for like 30% Alicia, 70% Theo. So anyways, Theo was also married. We're gonna dive in. So if you didn't read the book and you don't want to read the book, if you didn't read the book and you do want to read it, this is where the spoilers are gonna come in. So if you want to exit off this video, you can, and then come back, because don't leave me high and dry. That's number one. So I'm going to dive into the spoilers and just going into my thoughts. It's not going to be long, so I'm not going to try to give everything away, but I am going to give the spoilers. So yeah, stop here, but come back. Don't leave me high and dry. Okay. So Theo was married. His wife was named Kathy. Now, Theo was in a relationship already before he met Kathy. This is the tea. This is the tea. He was already in a relationship. He met Kathy, fell in love with Kathy, broke up with his girlfriend, and then fell in love with Kathy and married the girl. Now, you know the old saying back in the day, old folks used to be like, you lose them how you get them, right? Exactly. That's exactly what happened with Theo. So pretty much Theo decides, one day he was high. He was smoking. He went through his girlfriend emails, his wife emails, and he saw she was cheating on him. So she, pretty much was acting different. When she came back, oh, hey, how you doing? What's up? How you been? And he, but he never confronted her. Like, he never ever confronted her. That just scared me. Okay, so he never confronted her. What he ended up doing was stalking her, prowling through the nights while I'm going out on a run. I'm going to practice my lines, because she was an actress. She was an actress and she did plays and stuff like that. So he would creep after her. So one day he decided to follow her. This time he didn't caught up. She sneaking in the bushes. She doing the do with somebody in the woods. Instead of Theo like, hey, this what we on, like, you cheating on me, this what you on, this how you gonna do me? This how you gonna do me in public? You out here doing this and that in the woods? Excuse me? Theo stood behind the bush listening to her do and was crying. My guy, what's to you? Just tell me what's to you. Immediately I knew that his character was gonna make me upset. So even in the beginning, after he found out she cheated, before he started stalking her, he was saying stuff like, oh, I just want to beat her up, or I just want to hit her. He was talking about, he was having some aggressive thoughts. I started to think, this man needs to be admitted to that hospital, because he got some problems. He was really going through it. I'm like, he need to go seek his own psychotherapist. You feel me? What else he got? But yeah, and I feel like instead of them giving us this backstory, or not, technically it is backstory, but them giving us this backstory about him stalking his wife, it kind of gave us an idea of how he is with Alicia, because mind you, he's her therapist, right? When he started to dig into her background, he became obsessed with Alicia. He literally was obsessed with her work. He was obsessed with her family. He went to her one of the character, when I tell you in the beginning about the characters, her husband's ex-brother, who secretly was in love with her. Why do we need to know that he was in love with her if we wasn't going to elaborate on that story? Her cousin Paul, who she grew up with, like I said, vital information about when she was little. a bunch of stuff. I ain't gonna go into, it's too many details. I ain't gonna go into too many details. Her best friend, John Felix, or whatever his name is, who worked on like the canvases, he also was in love with her. Why we gotta go into details about these characters, and you know, it's like dead ends. But nonetheless, Theo encountered all of these people. He encountered the neighbors. He was pretty much like scouring around trying to get this information. Now, this, I don't want to give too much information or whatever, but when the plot twist came out, when and everything was exposed, I was like, I knew it. I kind of knew it because his character almost had, like, he was obsessed. He was obsessed with this girl. He was obsessed with Alicia. He was obsessed with finding out who his wife was cheating on him with. So why? So I'm just gonna tell you this. So when he found out, the second time his wife met up with her boo thing in the woods, instead of him keep following the wife, he started following the man or whatever. He started following the man. He started hiding outside the man's house. He started doing this. He started doing that. The stories, this is when the stories started to tie into each other, and this is closer toward the end. Come to find out, Alicia, in the beginning they were saying like, oh, she's going crazy because she's like, oh, somebody's stalking me, I'm scared or whatever. And the man broke her house or whatever. She was writing this in her journal, mind you, this is not her. So she was talking about how she was scared that somebody was like stalking her or whatever, and that's in her diary. And then it'll flip to Theo's perspective, like, oh, I see this man's wife cooking and cleaning, and she's going this and she's doing that. Come to find out, just to tie it all together, the person that he was stalking was Gabriel, and Alicia was the wife that he was looking and seeing. So Theo's wife was having an affair with Gabriel, Alicia's husband. The T. So one day, this crazy man Theo decides to, mind you, at this point of the timeline, it confused me just a hint, because I'm like, wait, where are we? So at this point in the timeline, Theo was breaking into these people's houses, which it finds out it's Alicia and her husband Gabriel. He's breaking into their house. He holding her captive, holding her at gunpoint, waiting for the husband to come home. Of course, it's Gabriel. When Gabriel came in, he busted him over the head with the gun, tied him up or whatever. And he was like, you sleeping with my wife? You sleeping with my wife or whatever? Like, what's tea? And he said, either I'm finna kill you or I'm finna kill your wife. Period. And here go Gabriel. He like, I don't know who he gonna kill. Excuse me? You should have said you, because why you ain't gonna save my life? So anywho, Theo shot a bullet in the air and was like, shot a bullet in the air, told Alicia be quiet. So he's screaming, oh my God, you killed my wife, Alicia. So Alicia didn't say nothing. So Theo dropped the gun and ran out the door. What's really tea? Not too much violence. What's really tea? He dropped the gun. Alicia picked it up. He like, oh my God, thank God, baby, you alive. Alicia get to talking that crazy stuff. She said, oh, I looked at him. I thought it was me sitting in the chair. So I shot him 5 times in the face. She's like, honestly, he actually killed me. I didn't kill him. This man, Theo, gonna say, what'd he say? This man, Theo, gonna say, had I known that she had a mental disorder, I would have never broke into the house and held them at gunpoint. How about don't hold nobody at gunpoint, criminal? So you mean to tell me after this happened, Alicia went to jail. She was already in a state of shock because she had just somebody had broken her house. Mind you, it's Theo. Somebody had broken her house. She done sat in the jail, not in the jail, but in a psych ward for 6 years. She didn't say a word. She didn't say a peep. She didn't mention nothing. She said nothing. And she probably was going to remain that way forever. Theo decided, oh, let me get a job at this mental facility and become her psychotherapist because I can get her to talk. He wanted to make sure, his point was he wanted to make sure that she wasn't going to say anything that would incriminate him. Mind you, she was silent. Like, she didn't say a peep. Even when they recorded her while she was by herself, she didn't say a peep. Why did he feel the need to get her to start talking? after he finally got her to start talking, do y'all know that he tried to kill her? And all of the stuff I just told y'all about what happened that night, she wrote in her diary. Theo, at the end of the book, pretty much went to jail. The nerve of that fool talk about, oh, what was the diary? It's a whole thing, but that was the plot twist. The plot twist and like her journal entries and his narration was tying into the story. Not once did the author tell us that this perspective of the story was 6 years in the past. Only time that it brought Theo's story into current was when he was at that point when he was being arrested. He did try to blame somebody else for the crime, but yeah, he was sloppy. And if he would have never took his behind into that hospital, he would have never, nobody even never would have knew. She hid her journal. Nobody found the journal. She never wrote about what happened in her journal until she knew that he was her psychotherapist. She literally was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep quiet. The day he became a psychotherapist is the day that she was like, oh man, he coming back to kill me. And like, she didn't want to talk, but she felt comfortable with him after he like made her start trusting him. You know, somebody that you could trust. When he tried to kill her, she said, oh, let me write this down real quick. Hold on. I know he did not just try to take me out the game. He did end up silencing her. He injected her with like morphine or something like that. Crazy. So now he in jail. It's like, and then also at the end, just to close it out, at the end, his wife ended up like, when they like, it's like you could tell when the story switched to current. They switched the story to current. His wife was like, she like, how you doing, love? Da 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 da. How you doing? And she's like, I'm okay. Like, she was like bland, and she was never the same for these past 6 years. So he's like, I killed them. I set him to be killed for no reason. You think? Why didn't you just confront her? You could have broke up with her or something. You could have let her go. He wouldn't, because he's crazy. I think he needed to be right next to Alicia. But nonetheless, so that's my opinion. Like I said, I was making it quick. I was trying to do as quick as possible. But that's my opinion. That's what I thought about The Silent Patient. Like I said, I give this book a 3 out of 5. I'm about to give it a 2 out of 5. Now that I'm talking about it and thinking about just the character, like, I really wish there was more Alicia in the book than it was Theo, because it was hard to, it was kind of hard to follow. It was hard to follow, but once you got closer, maybe a couple chapters before the ending, the final ending, I kind of put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, he was just too obsessed. I'm like, he must have something to do with this girl's situation. Like, what? But you can't tell what it is. But it's like you kind of almost knew that he had something to do with it. Nonetheless, but yeah, if you guys like this book, I am going to be dropping my book club in the description box. My book club is already read it, or I've already read it out of my book club. But my book club is through Fable. And if you're interested and you want to have a chit chat about some books or something like that, just let me know. Comment down below, or like I said, join my book club. But yeah, all right, so make sure y'all subscribe to my channel, follow me on social media, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.